Remember when Donald Trump was eagerly awaiting becoming president again so that he could immediately release the Jeffrey Epstein files? Yeah, I don't either. As you may recall, Donald Trump has always been clearly hesitant to say he would release the Jeffrey Epstein files. And of course, the speculation is, the natural belief is that it is because of Donald Trump being on lists associated with Epstein, flights and visits to his island potentially, that Trump has a self-preservation reason not to release the Epstein files. Well, Trump was asked about it yesterday, sort of surprised by it, and he goes, yeah, I don't know about that. Let me give you the answer before we hear from Trump. You're never going to see those files under Donald Trump. Here is Trump asked about it and how he responded.
Mr. President, you said, when can we expect the Epstein documents to be released? The rest of them?
Which documents?
The Epstein files?
I don't know. I'll speak to the Attorney General about that. I really don't know. I know that we've done the RFK, the Kennedy, Martin Luther King.
He just doesn't know.
Is out there very shortly, so we'll find out. But we've really announced we're doing them in full transparency. You know, when we did JFK, people were saying, "Oh, maybe it wasn't all; it was all."
Right. We are never going to see those files. You can tell Donald Trump is in no hurry to release those. And I still find it funny that anybody thinks they're going to see them. You may recall when Donald Trump, as candidate Trump, did this interview with Fox and Friends. This was, by the way, not with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, but with Fox and Friends morning host Pete Hegseth. Trump was asked again about those Epstein files. And as you can see, he goes, the Epstein ones, I'm not so sure about.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But
yes, those files would be phony and fake. And so Trump is a little bit less interested, a little bit less motivated in releasing those. Folks, you're not going to see them, probably because Trump is implicated in those files. All right. Trump then is asked about China and his completely ridiculous trade war, tariff war. And Trump seems to acknowledge here that China has called his bluff and China has won, because Trump says, well, we're not really going to keep these high tariffs on China, actually. Everybody should note that Trump blinked. What a surprise.
Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Bessent suggested that with the tariff rates as high as they are now, it's effectively an embargo of trade between the United States and China. Do you see that?
that's true. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to there. We were talking about fentanyl, where, you know, various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high.
Right.
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to have. It's not going to happen. We're going to be very good to China. Have a great relationship with President Xi, but
what a different sounding Trump all of a sudden.
They would make billions and billions and billions of dollars a year, and they would build their military out of the United States and what they made. So that won't happen, but they're going to do very well.
And you know what this has now led to? As I am recording this right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up over 1,000 points. Trump blinked. All the tough talk has been replaced with, no, the tariffs on China will come way down and we're going to get along great. And China hasn't done anything. China didn't even need to negotiate. They just waited for the tough talk to dissipate. And all of a sudden now, Trump, realizing the insanity of what he has done, is taking any step he can to try to resuscitate the stock market. And indeed today, the Dow up 1,000 points. Trump wildly claiming during this same event that the price of eggs is down 93 or 94%. Now, some of you who are good at mental math will do some calculations and realize That doesn't sound quite right.
But if you remember my first week, I was standing here, Paul, and they were screaming about eggs. The cost of eggs have gone through the roof. They were up like 500, crazy, like 4 or 5 times. And we won't have eggs for Easter, they were saying. There will be no eggs. You can't order eggs. They wanted us to order plastic in the shape of eggs. Well, yesterday we had 48,000 people at the Easter hunt. They call it the Easter roll at the White House. And we had all eggs. And as you know, the cost of eggs has come down like 93, 94% since we took office. And they're pretty much normally priced now.
That's right. A dozen eggs is now 30 cents. Prices are down 94%. Or alternatively, if you look at the current egg prices and you go, wait a second, that doesn't seem right. Maybe eggs were famously $100 a dozen when Trump took office, and he has managed to reduce those prices 93 or 94%. Just pulling numbers out of his ass. No connection to reality whatsoever. And then finally, the second reason, in addition to Trump bending to China, that the stock market is up today, Trump clarified, I am not looking to fire the Fed chairman, Jay Powell. If you're trying to pacify markets, this is a great way to do it by saying I'm actually going to cave and not do that crazy thing I threatened to do.
Late's not good.
Mr. President,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Mr. President,
there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus whenever they have a child. Are you considering that? Or are you
Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, please.
You clarify, you have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because here, economic advisor Kevin Hassett a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea of possibly doing before his term ends.
No.
Do you have any plans on doing it?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier.
There you go. A very conciliatory Donald Trump working overtime to save the stock market. And you got to hand it to him, caving to China and caving on getting rid of Powell. Now points to the Dow up. It's gone up another 100 points since I started recording this segment, now nearly 1,100 points. Trump realizing, I guess, where his bread is buttered. And what a shock, huh? What a shock to all of us. But at least eggs are down 94%. That's a great miracle that he has been able to accomplish.